Okay, so this activity is a follow-on activity from the art appreciation activity that you can find on my website. It goes through the techniques and process that Mccubbin used while he was painting his artwork down on his luck. So the materials you need to create the artwork with the children in the classroom are oil pastels, a canvas. You can get any size you want, but if you get a small one then it can be completed in a lesson pretty quickly. Paintbrush, a palette knife, and if you don't have a palette knife then you can just use a plastic knife. So paper towels, some turps, which you as a teacher might want to hold on to because we're using oil paint. Water doesn't clean the paint off the paintbrushes, so only turps does. And something to put the oil paint on so that we can mix the colours together, as well as plastic sheeting, and you might choose to wear an art sock, especially for the children. The children would have noticed from the art appreciation activity that some of the techniques that Mccubbin used in his artwork down on his luck was that he used sort of the same tones of the same colours, but in different tones of the same colour. So you'll notice that it's just mainly green and brown, but different shades of it. So we'll teach the children, because we're doing level 4, a lot of them might know that how to mix the colours to get lighter and darker shades. But just to show them, for those who don't know, just put some onto a piece of board. Here I have dark green, light green, brown, a darker brown, yellow and white. We'll put it on. Mccubbin sort of always used to put all his paint onto a palette like this, and then he would take it outside with him when he painted his actual artwork, which I'll show you later. These paints can be found at any art shop, and they can come in bigger bottles to be used in the classroom. Obviously more paint will be needed because we're working with a larger group of kids in a classroom. So just get the paint with the palette knife and mix some yellow into it to make it lighter, and then some white to even make it lighter. So there's our dark green, then we have our middle green, and then we have the lighter green, which came out of the tube. And then you can do the same. You can also make a darker colour by adding black. Make sure a lot of kids in level 4 will know that to mix colours you just add black to make a darker colour or white to make it lighter. So the children can experiment and create whatever types of colours they want or need depending on their landscape that they will be painting. Next, it'd be good to ask the children from what they learned in the previous art appreciation activity about the techniques that they noticed Mccubbin used in his painting down on his luck. Children will come with responses such as he used quick brush strokes, quick swift brush strokes. This was typical of an impressionist. So you can just demonstrate this technique to the children. It's called impressionist because it's just a really quick use of the paintbrush so that you actually just see what you're painting and you just put it down on the paper really quickly. So it's just really quick flicks like that. And it's actually like bold use of paint, so I haven't used much paint here. And it's lots of layering as well. A palette knife can also be used to demonstrate this. So our plastic knife, where Mccubbin used a lot of swift movements like that. See how it can create a different technique, so the children can choose what techniques they want to create when they're making their artwork. Mccubbin also scraped back some of the paint so that then he can put different layers on top of it. So then he might put yellow on top to blend it together. And then some black to make it a bit darker in this bit to show the lightness in the dark. It's really important that you put lots of layers as well in the artwork, and it's more evident on the canvas, which we'll be using. This is just a demonstration on the piece of paper, to create that impasto effect where it looks like the paint is coming off the paper basically. He also used fine detail with a paintbrush, so he used just the use of line was used by him, where he just did it quite slowly and thin. It's good in the classroom if you have lots of different thicknesses of a paintbrush. So this might be used for like the tree branches when the children are drawing in their landscape. This thin, delicate lines and small lines were used by Mccubbin to create detail in the figure on his artwork, down on his luck. We won't be doing this. Instead, we'll be using digital technology of taking a photograph of a model to replicate this. Now we'll take the students outside to their landscape so that they can do a quick impressionist of the landscape of their artwork. So now that I'm outside in front of the landscape that I'm going to paint, this is the bush landscape that I'm going to paint, I'm able to adopt the role of the artist that Mccubbin, using the technique that Mccubbin used, where he painted plein air style, which is painting outside exactly where in front of what you're painting. So this is really good for the children so that they can feel like they are becoming the artist. Okay, so now I'm going to start painting, do a quick impression of my landscape, and I'll show you once I've finished. As you just saw, I finished the landscape where I did a quick impression while I was outside with quick brush strokes, and you can see the use of a palette knife or my plastic knife down here, which is thick lines. You can see the impasto effect with the layering as I kept on putting paint on top of each other to create the desired effect of impasto and the impressionist effect of thick brush strokes. I also want to note that if you weren't able to actually take your children to the landscape, with the fact that they could bring their photograph of a landscape in is really good, and they can just paint. It'd be really good if you could take the children outside to paint their photograph so that they still get the same feel that Mccubbin would have when he painted down on his luck. Now, I'm back home because this is what Mccubbin did. He went back to his studio after he painted his landscape, because he then painted the figure which was of his friend. It was actually his friend who modelled him. So the figuring down on his luck of the gold prospector, who was sitting and showing emotion, was just actually his friend. So we're going to replicate this by, I took a photo of my friend, who you can see in his picture. He appears very stressed, tired of work. So it's capturing the same type of emotion, and this is what we want the children to do, because we're replicating what Mccubbin did. So I just took a photograph, then I put it onto the computer and then print it. This can be done in the classroom, where the children just take a photo of their friends showing emotion, so that then they are telling a story. So I'm just going to stick this onto the painting, which you can use glue, but because my painting is still dry, wet, it will stick fine. So I stuck it on there, and do you want to come closer? And now you can see the contrasting techniques between the background and the figure, which is the same as what Mccubbin did, because in the background we have the impasto style, the impressionist style painting, and in the foreground we have the figure, which is a digital image incorporating modern technology into the painting, whereas Mccubbin used fine detailed painting in his figure. Thank you.